2024. The time is 2 p.m. In attendance are Commissioners Matari, Brooks, and Duncan. Would you join us for a moment of silence? All right, thank you. Ms. Behringer, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, changes to the agenda.
Yes. Item number 1, I just had a couple of modifications on that particular set of meeting minutes, and I sent those over to Tina.
Okay, so you want to pull item 1 and then we'll just approve item 2?
Yes.
Okay. Public comment?
You skipped the moment of silence.
What? No. No, we did the moment of silence. It was quick. Boy, get the first few snowflakes and everybody, it's all, okay, so I didn't hear from anyone with public comment, so we'll go on to meeting minutes.
I move that we approve meeting minutes, item number 2.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right, consent calendar.
I move that we approve the consent calendar, items 3 through 12.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. Oh, yeah, his mic's not on. Jonathan's looking over at us like, what's going on?
Who's this?
So, your mic wasn't on. All right, payables, please.
I move that we approve payables for October 28th through November 1, 2024, in the amount of $1,047,378.27 and jury panel payments in the amount of $4,379.75.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right, item 14, this is board approval request, and it's an actual award for a request for qualifications. It's engineering design services for HVAC in our public safety building, justice building, juvenile justice center with our buildings and grounds. Director Voller, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jeff Voller for the record. In your packet is a memo describing the process that we went through for selecting an engineering firm to do the design work for the HVAC projects, as you just noted. We put together a team of 4 people that reviewed and scored the proposals. The proposals were all responsive, and we would recommend that we go with the highest scoring firm of VBFA out of with a home base in Utah, but a branch office in Spokane that would serve us here locally.
Okay, questions, motion?
I move that we approve the request, award request for qualifications, engineering design services with HVAC, public safety building, justice building, juvenile justice center, building and grounds.
Okay, for VBFA.
VBFA. You know, that's kind of blurred out in there.
Yeah.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye, thank you. All right, item 15, this is a public hearing, and this is Panhandle Village Water System Improvements Phase 2 project. It is an Idaho Community Development Block Grant, and it's mid-construction public hearing. And I think PAC is going to lead us today.
Hello, my name is Karen Nunley. I'm with PAC. I will read you the project status at this point. The construction contract was awarded to La Riviere on April 5th of 2024. A pre-construction meeting was held on April 25th, 2024 at Welsh Comer & Associates, Inc. in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. The notice to proceed was signed and dated May 15, 2024 for a construction start date of May 15, 2024. Construction began June 24 of 2024. To date, construction has seen completion of the following original bid items: excavation for reservoir, building pad and piping, gravel subgrade of the reservoir, installed water lines for the tie-ins, Sono tubes were installed as well as pump cans were placed. They also installed rebar, set forms, poured concrete, and stripped forms for reservoir. They also have a completion of the core drills for pipe penetrations into the reservoir, installation of pump manifold and piping, installation of reservoir lid, rebar and concrete, set forms for concrete for building footings, slab and walls, and strip forms, the wood framing of the building, the completion of electrical roughing and grounding, installation of discharge structure, and the filling and testing of the reservoir. Construction updates were available from Welch Comer Engineers. As of this date, there have been 3 change orders on the project. Change order 1 was dated August 29 of 2024, and that provided backfill screening. The contract price change was $15,611.30 increase, and the contract time change was no additional days. Change order 2, dated September 4, 2024, was for the cast-in-place lid concrete mix. Contract price change of $10,029.19 increase. Contract time change, no additional days. Change order 3, dated September 16, 2024, for well number 2, a water line replacement. Contract price change was $5,623.52 increase, and contract time change was no additional days. As of September 30, 2024, La Riviere's construction contract, including all the change orders, is 52.86% completed, and the ICDBG construction budget is 46.68% completed. Substantial completion is scheduled for December 16, 2024, with construction to be fully completed by December 26 of 2024. The engineer's description of remaining work as of October 22, 2024, they will be pressure washing and coating the reservoir, pouring generator pad and install generator. They will install the building insulation, interior sheeting and drywall, and inside mechanical piping. Install the metal roof and siding installation. Coordination with Avista for gas service. Install the pumps, and site grading, hydroseeding, and vegetation restoration. We have not received any public comments at this time from any of the parties involved so far, so unless somebody would like to comment today. The budget review, as I mentioned before, as of September 30, it's 48%, 0.74% of the CDBG grant funding has been expended. And 46.68% of the construction budget has been completed. There's a little bit of a differentiation there. Additional expenditures are expected to be processed around November 10, 2024. Let's see. We have a revised budget that was completed in April of 2024, and that included changes to the budget, DEQ loan usage, and an add to ARPA grant funds that we received. Administrative costs were for the grant was $50,000, and that was the total for administration. Design professional was $296,500 for out of the ARPA grant for the design professional. Acquisition was budgeted at $45,000 to come out of the ARPA grant. Construction was to be split between the 3 funding sources for $450,000 from the ICDBG grant and $378,266 out of the DEQ loan, $471,734 out of the ARPA grant, and that combined was a construction budget of $1.3 million. There were financing expenses that were budgeted in that would be covered by the ARPA grant of $20,000. So the total for the ICDBG grant is $500,000, DEQ loan $378,266, and the ARPA grant was $833,234 for a total budget of $1,711,500. Our expenditures to date for administration have been $33,720 out of the grant from ICDPG. We have had design professional expenditures of $188,427.12 out of the ARPA grant. Acquisition of the easement was $17,624.64 paid by the ARPA grant. Construction draws to date have been $210,038 from the ICDBG grant and $468,570.65 from the ARPA grant, for a total of $678,608.65 for the total construction expenditures so far. We have had no expenses for financing or legal. The total expenditures for the DBG grant is $243,758. The ARPA grant is $674,622.41 for a total expenditure to date of $918,380.41. The budget remaining for administration is $16,280 of ICDBG grant. We have design professional funding remaining of $108,072.88 out of ARPA. Acquisition of the easement, there is still $27,375.36 left that is not, it will likely not be used. The acquisition is complete. Soft costs, we have had no soft costs to date. Construction, we have remaining $239,962 of ICDBG grant, $378,266 of the DEQ loan, which is still fully intact, so that will be the last thing that is tapped into. And then we have $3,163.35 of the ARPA grant for construction to date. That, of course, will be increasing soon as we do the next pay request drawdown. And that totals $621,391.31 left, 35 cents left, sorry, for construction. The financing expenses remains at $20,000 and has not been used, and there were no legal fees. So that remains that there was $256,242 for the grant left, $378,266 for the loan grant left, and the ARPA grant has $158,611.59 left. There have been some schedule revisions. Most of the items have been completed already. A design professional contract was executed in July 15 of 2019. Grant administration contract was executed on September 30th of 21. Environmental release was provided by Commerce on December 17th, December 7th of 2022. Bid document approval was on February 14, 2024. Open bidding, so we bid the bid opening was on March 31, 2024. Construction contract was executed on April 5th of 2024. Second public hearing, that is today, November 4th, 2024. The certificate of substantial completion was originally due August of 2024, but this project has been a little bit delayed, and so it is now scheduled for February 2025. And we, of course, have had our proclaimed Fair Housing Month of April, and that was done last March of 2024. If the project is still open, we will do it again this April, but we do not anticipate it. Updated 401 review, 504 review and transition plan, and that was done on March 30th of 2023, and the LEP 4-factor analysis and updated plan was completed on May 4th of 2023. Final closeout has been changed from November 2024 to May of 2025. Do any of you have any questions or concerns about the project? Questions?
I would like to get a hard copy of that.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
That is available. Thank you. And I can get that to you.
Bruce?
Does anybody else need one?
No, we have
It's in
that
your packet, but
information.
let me get that.
But everything that you read is
Is exactly.
Yes.
in here.
good. That's what I want.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is, are you satisfied with the progress of this project?
Yes, at this point, I believe that Panhandle Village is satisfied. We have Rebecca Self here from Panhandle Village Water System. We believe that they're doing a good job and that it is coming along quite well, and we probably anticipate a closing date close to, if not on the date that we have scheduled. So at this point, they are doing an acceptable job, no major complaints or issues at this time.
And you're satisfied with how it's coming along budget-wise as well?
Yes, actually, there was additional ARPA funds added, so that was, would help the water system not have to draw down as much of a loan from DEQ.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, any public comment on this public hearing? Okay, hearing no comments. This is not our typical one, but Dave, do you recommend that we end public testimony? And I mean, it's kind of an acceptance thing. It's not really a BOCC item to approve.
I guess if it's, is the board approving something pursuant to a hearing?
No, it's just a requirement of the block grant that we have a public hearing.
Then I think you need to go ahead along with the procedure of having a hearing, close testimony, deliberate, and vote.
Okay,
That way there's a clear record for the grant requirement.
okay.
I move that we end public testimony for the Panhandle Village Water System Improvements Phase 2 project, Idaho Community Development Block Grant, mid-construction, public hearing in the auditor's office.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Matari,
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. Not much deliberation as far as this goes.
No, it seems like it's happening the way it's supposed to, and certainly within budget.
Yes, and so Dave, the motion is just, we acknowledge that the grant requirements of a public hearing are met?
And that, yeah, I think the project's acceptable to the board at this stage, or else, something to that effect.
Okay.
I move that the board acknowledge that this project is acceptable and that the public hearing notice was carried out as it should have been for the Panhandle Village Water System Improvements Phase 2 project, the Idaho Community Development Block Grant, mid-construction, public hearing.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. Thank you. All right, item 16, this is board approval request, appropriate remaining assigned fund balance for Kootenai North project. I don't see, maybe we've got an auditor on the phone, and then I know Lieutenant Klinkafus is on the phone. So do you want to start us off?
Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant Klinkafus for the record. I can start off. As anticipated, we're asking to move the remaining appropriated fund balance over so that we can use it to finish up the remaining projects for the Kootenai North project. In talking with the auditor's office, I believe, and they may have to correct this, but I believe the amount that's remaining is $212,000.
Okay, and what is the $212,000 for?
Well, there are several projects still that have not been paid since they haven't been finished yet. Ballistic glass projects, HVAC in the lobby. There's several projects outstanding that have not been invoiced yet because they are not completed.
Okay, but I think.
So this funding would be used to finish those projects.
Okay, but I think those projects have been prior approved or prior brought before the board. Doesn't sound like there's anything that's not. And Director Voller is here as well.
Yeah, just to help clarify this a little bit. So part of this is going to be some of the really small projects that the Sheriff's Department has taken on their own, such as purchasing lumber, purchasing paint. Like those individual things weren't brought before the board. And so it's basically the remaining allocation that was designed for the project just was never brought into the project because some of those small specific items were never brought before the board.
Okay. Questions, Bill?
So we're just going to appropriate the $212,228 into this?
I guess so. I kind of asked for an updated sheet, and we haven't gotten that yet, so this is all the information I have.
How much have we spent so far? I think we allocated what, like, I think it was 900,000 at first, and then we discovered we needed a roof or something, and then,
Yes.
so
Correct. It's right around 1.6 million.
1.6 million, and that's so we can move in the KC North.
Correct.
Okay, and
Yeah,
so.
and you're not allocating an additional 200,000. You're basically bringing money that's already been contemplated into the budget so that we can actually pay the bills on it.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been brought over.
And this is coming from fund balance or from where we already had it allocated? Because we set some money aside, about
Right.
900,000.
Yeah, it's coming from, I believe it's coming from the fund balance. It just needs to be brought into the project budget, is my understanding, as I think Brandy would explain it.
I'm sorry, you from the auditor's office, or? Okay. Is there anything you can add to this?
No, I was just coming up next.
Oh, next, I'm sorry. Okay, that's fine. I mean, if you're comfortable, that's fine. I didn't, again, I don't have the sheet that lines everything out that we've already approved, that we've already spent for KC North, and I was
Well-
going to ask the auditor some other questions too.
Jeff, are there any questions on the expenses that kind of come to your attention that we should be aware of?
Well, and I think we will bring you a full budget on that. We're still working out a few things. Like I've noticed when I've looked at the budget that there's some things like blinds that have now been spent now that they're moving in. But basically, we're right at that budget amount of what was allocated. What we anticipated to spend, we're right there, and we're reconciling that.
So you don't see a problem with us allocating this fund, these funds at this point?
Those are necessary to pay the expenses that we know are coming up.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I guess we can have further discussion once we get that sheet that outlines everything that we've spent and all that. My estimation, though, is that this is on top of the 990,000, so I think this would just be an outside budget approval to complete this project.
Well, yeah, but we know it's going to be what would you say,
0.6.
1.6 million, and we only put 900,000 aside for it,
Put
so.
900. You put 900, and I did not bring any of the budget information with me. But it was that 900,000 was originally allocated. Then there was an additional 275 that I think was allocated for additional expenses, and then we added the roof on top of that. That puts us at that 1.6.
Okay.
Lieutenant, could I clarify something too, please? This is
Sure.
Lieutenant Klinkfus.
Yes.
So the auditor's office explained it. This is very confusing for everybody, but how it was explained to me is this 212,000 is what's remaining of the original 274,000 that was set aside for this project. So that dollar amount was part of the original amount that was set aside. The auditor had just not moved it over yet because that hadn't been officially requested. So this is not an additional 212,000. This is money that was already allocated by the board for us to use. We just had not asked for it to be moved over yet.
Okay, so I think this is the stuff that we talked about during a fund balance meeting that we said.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, good. All right, motion?
I move that we approve the request to appropriate the remaining assigned fund balance of $212,228 for the KC North project.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Matari,
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye, thank you. All right, item 17, board approval request, and this is tax year 2024, the amended L1 approval with our auditor's office. And is it Ms. Clancy?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
Kathleen Clancy, staff accountant for the record. I'm just here today to seek board approval for the amended L1. The Idaho State Tax Commission has reviewed all of our county districts' L2s, and they are recommended a few changes. Those changes were just due to the judgment and also 3 districts that were in non-compliant with the state controller's office. So if there's any other questions, I'm just asking that you approve that today.
All right, questions, motion?
I move that we approve the request for the TY 2024 amended L1 approval. with the Auditor's Office.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 18, approval of janitorial contract for treatment court coordinators, and this is with environmental control. It looks like Pollock is the involved party, and our specialty court, Ms. Behringer, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Carlene Behringer, Trial Court Administrator for the record. We are seeking approval for a service authorization agreement for janitorial services up at the old detectives building. That's where the treatment courts are currently being housed. There's an initial fee of $75, a startup fee, and then the monthly bill will be $605.
Okay. And then do you have, I know it wasn't contemplated in your budget, do you have room in your budget for this?
I do.
Okay. All right, questions, motion?
I move that we approve the janitorial contract for treatment court coordinators, environment control, Pollock with the specialty courts.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Item 19, grant application. This is PRE 24 EMPG 055. It's the FY24 Emergency Management Performance Grant, and it's an application, as stated earlier. It's with FEMA and the amount of $90,560.58. Cash match, $90,560.58. And Ms. Westbrook, are you on the line? Ms. Littlefield, Ms. Long, anyone? This is their standard yearly thing, so I don't know if you're comfortable with approving it as is, or you want Under Sheriff Nelson to. We can also.
We can come back to this.
We'll come back to it. Okay. Item 20, grant agreement 02573KC, and this is with Idaho Transportation Department and FTA 5310. It's purchase of service in the amount of $80,000. In-kind match is $20,000 and transit. Mr. Engel, are you on the phone?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Chad Engel with the Transit Department for the record. This is a grant agreement with the Idaho Transportation Department for the 5310 purchase of service funds. The purpose of this grant is to support our ongoing transportation services for seniors and individuals with disabilities. The application for this grant received board approval on February 6th of 2024, and this agreement has been reviewed and approved by legal.
Okay, questions, motion?
The only question is just, it says the match funds, would come from the Area Agency on Aging if funding becomes available. So what happens if it doesn't become available? Where would this match come from?
It's projected right now just to be in-kind match from our partner agencies.
So that would be like Kootenai Health and the tribe?
Correct.
Okay.
And we have enough?
Yes, we do. Yep, we have more than enough.
And then Chad, the area agency, how much was that? Because I think it was not significant at one point.
Correct. It's been pretty minimal this year because they had limited funding, and then, as we know, the funding had been cut for that program. So there's nothing as far as going forward. But we still do have an agreement in place if funding does become available. But, yeah, it was pretty minimal as far as this last year.
Okay. Can you just remind me? It was under 5,000, I think, wasn't it?
Correct. It was around 3,800.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Any other questions, motion?
I move that we approve the grant agreement 02573 KC Idaho Transportation Department FTA 5310 purchase of service $80,000 and kind match of $20,000 with the Transit Department.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right, we can handle items 21 and 22 together. This is board approval request. It's the medical retirement of our canine lord. And we also have resolution 202481, which is once the retirement happens, it allows that canine lord will be retiring at the Joling's residence. So Lieutenant Hedlund, are you still on the line?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Lieutenant Eric Hedlund from the Sheriff's Office, for the record. Last year, Canine Lord suffered an injury in a training accident and went through surgery and was rehabilitated to the best of their abilities and made it back to work. But recently, his handler and then the vet as well have noticed some issues with that same foot. And per the vet, that injury is limiting his basic performance, and she said he cannot perform his functions as a police dog because of that injury, and as such is a liability at this point to continue on as a functioning canine for the Sheriff's Office. Because of that, we're requesting that Canine Lord be medically retired, and because of his special training, and his function as a police dog, he can't be sold or given away as a family pet, and therefore we're asking that, as has been the historical standard, that he is then sold to Deputy Joling for $1, as we've done in the past, so that he can live out his retirement with the Joling family.
Okay. And I know that you're on the phone, you can't see, but I am wearing my Canine Lord T-shirt in honor of his service to us. So
we appreciate that. We do.
Yeah. Questions, motion?
You want to make this one motion for both items or two separate motions?
Either way, but one is fine as long as you do the medical retirement first and then the sale.
I move that we approve the request for the medical retirement of Canine Lord with the Sheriff's Office and Resolution 2024-81, retired law enforcement Canine Lord, and the resolution with the bill of sale going to Joling.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. Thank you. All right, item 23, Resolution 2024-83. This is the establishment of an Agricultural Protection Area Commission. And it has my name on it, but I think I will let our Civil Deputy Prosecutor Pat Braden weigh in.
Pat Braden, Civil Deputy Prosecutor, for the record. This resolution is adopted or is presented for adoption in keeping with Title 67, Chapter 97 of the Idaho Code, which was passed by the legislature in this spring session. It's also known as the Agricultural Protection Area Act. It allows owners of working farms, ranches, and forests to voluntarily preserve their land for those purposes and to keep it from being developed for a time certain in the future. This resolution simply establishes an Agricultural Protection Area Commission as required in that chapter of Idaho Code, which will allow you to appoint members to that board. And otherwise, the resolutions should be self-explanatory. So I would recommend you. Oh, and also there will be an ordinance coming following this that will set up the procedure for requesting land be included in the agricultural protection area. That will come before you in December. There will be a public hearing on that. This is just to get the wheels rolling and allow the commissioners to seek applications and appoint members to that commission starting on January 1st.
All right, and then there just was one small correction in the resolution in our packet, and it just had to do with expiration dates of committee members. So that the corrected version will be the one we sign. And then with that, any questions?
Nope, we need to do this.
I guess the only other thing I would add would be that one of us can work with staff to figure out the wording and how we want to go about the application process. I do have a few names because they're very specific, like Aquifer Protection District, on the members that we can appoint, and we've agreed to appoint 5 members. So with that, I didn't know, I'm fine to do it, but if one of you would like to work with staff to do that, that's fine too.
I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
I move that we approve Resolution 2024-83, establishment of Agricultural Protection Area Commission, and this is with the amendments that were provided in the BOCC.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right, with that, public comment?
But wait a second, weren't we going to go back to
Oh,
item
I'm
19?
sorry. Thank you. Yes. All right. This is item 19, grant application, PRE 24 EMPG 055, and this is our FY24 Emergency Management Performance Grant. And FEMA, $90,560.58, cash match the same. Ms. Westbrook, or?
Yeah, Tiffany Westbrook for the record. OEM's presenting before you the 2024 EMPGE grant application in the amount of $90,560.58. For the board's approval, this grant supports the administration and operational costs associated with OEM sustainment of the emergency management program. The grant performance period is October 1, 23 through January 31st, 26, and there is a match requirement of $90,560.58. All of this match was budgeted for in OEM's FY25 budget.
Okay, questions, motion?
I move that we approve grant application PRE 24 EMPG 055 FY24 Emergency Management Performance Grant application with the Federal Emergency Management Agency in the amount of $90,560.58 with a cash match of $90,560.58.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye. All right, I'll call for public comment again.
I think you should stand up and show the camera the back of your shirt.
It's not his best picture, but
But they are available.
he was a
usually.
good,
Yeah.
very good dog.
Good
So,
dog.
yeah. All right, Ms. Ryder.
Hi. Linda Ryder for the record. And I'm just here to thank you commissioners for doing this ag protection ordinance. I know it's kind of a silly little step, but hopefully it'll be a step that we can use to move forward and protect some of our farm ground and our open spaces to keep in viable working spaces. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Nope. Okay, then 2:38, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.